It's time now for a look at the latest in local news. In the news, we begin with more from Tuesday's Chamber of Commerce's post-legislative luncheon. On Wednesday, we heard from State Representative Bill Warkheiser. Today, we talk with State Representative Stephen Meeks.
Stephen Meeks at the post-legislative luncheon is where you give your recap. So just your thoughts on how the session went.
Well, it's first and foremost, I appreciate the Chamber doing this annual event. It's one that we look forward to after session, come home and talk about what we did and kind of recap everything. So it's good to see everybody and have a chance to shake hands after a previous engagements that we had that were socially distanced. Maybe we'll have a little bit bigger crowd today, given that many of those restrictions have been lifted. But we had a great session. It was a bit of a challenging session, very different from those that we have had in the past. Obviously, we were still social distanced. We were split up into the chamber, the floor of the gallery, and over at 341. So the makeup of the legislature looked a little different in terms of the atmosphere. We didn't have an opportunity to interact with many of our colleagues. But overall, it was a good session. We got some good things accomplished for Georgians in the time that we were there.
A story kind of gets overlooked in the state of Georgia. In Washington, Democrats and Republicans can't get along at all. In the state of Georgia, they might have differed on a few issues, but for the most part, not a lot of debate about the budget, not a lot of debate about other items. Everybody was on board with the governor moving to do away with the citizens arrest law. So a lot was accomplished by partisanship up in Georgia.
We still are able to get a lot of things done with bipartisanship in our state as opposed to Washington, which is so divided. But it's good that we can do that, and many of those things that we can work together on, such as some of the legislative items that you just mentioned. But we work together very well. We're obviously divided on some other issues, and they occasionally get heated and very emotional. But generally, we work very well together on getting things done.
And I understand you were able to get some legislation passed. Tell us about that.
We did a couple pieces of legislation. One was being an ad valorem tax program that's been in existence since 2018, which was constitutionally approved by the voters of the state prior to my arrival to the General Assembly. And it was more or less some housekeeping legislation that we did to encourage the department on how to administer the program in terms of evaluation of the qualified timberland property program that was passed, and they had not been implemented yet. Some of the rules that they were working on were really not following the legislative intent of the law, which was for that program to operate just as the other programs have under the CUVA and Flipper, and one additional program that's been on the books for many years. So we worked very hard on trying to address some of those things this legislative session.
I know you try to listen to our news as much as you can. You don't want to warpath against GHSA, and we're for education. We got a game of day at 2 o'clock. I mean, I asked the Bill, who's GHSA accountable to? Can I get you on that bandwagon? Get rid of
we're going to visit some more on that. I've heard much more conversation on that one issue as we had this past session than we have previous sessions. So we look forward to having continued conversation on Georgia High School Association.
Well, again, who else I need to contact?
Well, you can mention it to the chairman of the Appropriations Committee in the Senate, and we'll go from there on our side. Bill and I will, but we look forward to having that conversation.
We appreciate it.
And in those comments, the State Representative Stephen Meeks also talked with State Senator Blake Tillery. He got his thoughts on the session.
Here, State Senator Blake Tillery, post-legislative luncheon, we give you a recap of the session. Again, the budget's a big thing. You had a big part of that. As I told Bill and Stephen, unfortunately for the state of Georgia, there wasn't a lot of argument between the Democrats and Republicans when it came to the budget.
Well, the budget was controversial, particularly in the House. We try our best to work with each member of the Senate to work things out for their district, and we were able to do so. And I can't speak enough about my colleague on the House side, Chairman Terry England, just a prince of a man and really cares about rural Georgia. And him, along with Governor Kemp's investment in rural broadband, I'm really excited about what the next 12 months hold for us.
You talked a lot about the election laws, how everybody had headlines that just didn't tell the truth. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, right now I guess we live in an age where the soundbite wins the day most of the times, and as people begin to dig into that bill more, I think they'll see that it really was about providing integrity and making sure that we could provide some I don't know what word I'm looking for, sorry. Could provide ability for folks to feel confident in their vote.
As you mentioned, the budget's made up of two major components, basically healthcare and education. Tell us a bit about that.
Again, education makes up right now about 55% of our state budget. Healthcare makes up 23% of our budget. So when we walk in the door, you've got 78% of the budget that's already out on two items that we know Georgians care a lot about.
I'm harping on the GHSA. Like we keep asking the question, who are they accountable to? We got a ball game here at 2 o'clock. They talk about education. We're in a region. We're going to drive 4 hours to play a game, get back at 1 o'clock in the morning. So what can we do about that?
There's no requirement that you be involved in the GHSA. I think there have been several times where I know the single A schools looked at breaking off. I know some of the larger schools have looked at breaking off. I don't know what the future holds as far as Georgia High School Athletic Association is concerned. I know that I was glad to graduate from a Georgia high school where I could participate and always felt things were fair. And if folks feel that things aren't fair, then those are things that need to be addressed.
And those comments of State Senator Blake Tillery. Again, on tomorrow's newscast, we'll hear more from the post-legislative luncheon. Again, they all discuss the new laws regarding voting in the state of Georgia. We'll have that tomorrow here on the local news. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, Sheriff Chuck Mosley announces that on May 4th, units from the department responded to multiple vehicles being broken into at Chorial Specialty Fencing. Entry to the property was made through a hole cut in the fence behind the business. The report was taken listing all the tools that were stolen from the vehicles. 2 arrests have been made at this time. Investigation is ongoing. If they didn't want the information about the criminal activity, ask to contact the Wayne County Sheriff's Department at 427-5970 or 427-5992. GBI investigating another fatal shooting involving an officer which occurred in Camden County. Camden County Sheriff's Department requesting the GBI's help. Preliminary investigation reveals that approximately at 4:51 a.m., Camden County Sheriff's Department was executing a drug-related search warrant in the 1200 block of U.S. Highway 17 in Woodbine, Georgia. Law enforcement knocked and announced their presence before entering into the residence. Upon entry, there was exchange of gunfire between the occupants of the residence, identified as 46-year-old Vershawn Lamont Brown and 37-year-old LaToya Denise James, and law enforcement. During the incident, Brown was injured and transported to the hospital. James was shot and died at the scene. GBI says they'll conduct an independent investigation. Once completed, it'll be turned over to the District Attorney's Office for review. They state this is the 27th officer shooting the GBI has been requested to investigate this year in the state of Georgia. On Wednesday, Governor Kemp signed a measure that for the first time grants 250,000 state workers, including teachers, 3 weeks of paid paternal leave. The new law provides the benefits to mothers and fathers following the birth, adoption, or foster placement of a child. Employees who have worked for the state for at least 6 months are eligible. Legislation, House Bill 146, cruised through both chambers of the legislature this spring with broad bipartisan support. It received only token opposition from 8 House Democrats, including several who said they just wished it provided more time off for workers. Kemp says the new law will help Georgia's image as the best state to live, work, and raise a family. The governor quoted Wednesday as saying, "I think it really speaks to who we are and where we are in the state of Georgia right now. We want to have a great workforce. We need people. We need good people in the state government to keep our government running." The statute does not affect private companies, which have broad leeway to set their own leave practices. Georgia House Speaker David Rawson, who could not attend Wednesday's ceremony, said he hoped the new state law will serve as an example for businesses looking for ways to attract and retain the best employees. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes in the news. Today is National Day of Prayer. The City of Odom having that special event gets underway shortly from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. this morning at the Odom Train Depot, 310 East Railroad Street. A light breakfast will be served free and open to the public. Again, that's taking place this morning in Odom between 8 and 10 at the Odom Train Depot. Wayne County School System inviting everyone to the groundbreaking ceremony of the renovation of James E. Bacon Elementary School. The date, Tuesday, May the 11th at 5 p.m., taking place at 1425 West Orange Street, and the public invited to attend that groundbreaking ceremony Tuesday, May 11th at 5 p.m. The Wayne County Board of Tourism gearing up for 2 fishing tournaments. A new event for fishermen is coming up Saturday, May 15th, with the inaugural Wayne County Big Bass Jamboree sponsored by the Tourism Board. Registration fee is $25, can be done at the Jesup Train Depot or online at active.com. Fishing begins at daylight and the tournament ends at 3 p.m. Hourly weigh-in and final award will be held at the J.C. Fair Building. Weigh-in prize money for 2 fish weighed will be $100 for first place, $50 for second place each hour. Payout for overall big fish will be $150. Next opportunity for fishermen comes with the board's signature event, the Wayne County Catfish Tournament. This year's tournament offers anglers the opportunity to win $7,500 first place payout whether the place payouts determined by the number of entries into the event. Weigh-in and tournament headquarters will also be at JC Fairgrounds at JC Landing. Those fishing in the tournament can put in anywhere on the Altamaha River, but they must be in line at weigh-in at the JC Fairgrounds by 12 noon on that Sunday. Tournament officials ask interest to please note you must come to the fairgrounds to receive your T-shirt. Entry fee for this tournament is $100 per fisherman with a minimum of at least 2 fishing in a boat. Big Fish Pot entry is $10 per fisherman. Registration can be done online at active.com. Can be dropped off at the Tourism Board's office at the train depot. Registration packets are available online or at the Jesup Train Depot. If you need more information, call the Tourism Board office at 427-3233 or check out the event website at waynetourism.com. And the fish are out. It's time to wet your hook at the Big Bass Jamboree on May 15th or the Wayne County Catfish Tournament. The dates for that, June 5th and 6th. That's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan said, have a great day.